The Three Pascualas legend tells the tragic story of three sisters who fell in love with the same man, and the fatal outcome that this caused. It is one of the most popular legends in the country, and it is often recalled, especially because it gives its name to the lagoon where the events took place, the Three Pascualas lagoon. The story takes place in the city of Concepcion, in the center of the country, at the end of the 18th century. The Pascual family lived there, made up of a father and his three daughters, all three of great beauty and who were always very close. They worked as laundresses, so every day they went together to wash clothes in this lagoon near where they lived. Between washing and washing, they sang love songs. In the afternoon, they hung their clothes to dry on the branches of the trees and asked the lagoon to please bring them the true love of their lives. Then they would start their way back to their house with great piles of clothes tied up on their heads. There are different versions of the legend that explain how the Pascualas came to know the man who was their undoing. The most popular tells that one day he came walking along the shore of the lake, and when he saw how beautiful they were, he approached and started a conversation with them. They shared food and chatted until nightfall. He was young and handsome, and the three sisters took notice of him. For the first time, they walked home in silence with their thoughts, each convinced that the handsome man had eyes only for her. But he had malicious plans, and he set out to conquer all three sisters at once. For this, he returned to the lagoon day after day, willing to spend time with them and render them one by one. He would arrive in the morning to help the youngest take the clothes to her cabin, and on the way, he would confess his love for her. When the eldest went to buy provisions, he stayed court in the middle one. And while the youngest prepared the food, he gave his love to the oldest. Inevitably, the three sisters fell in love. As each one thought she was the chosen one, she didn't talk about it with the others, so as not to arouse their jealousy. When they washed their clothes in the lake, they no longer sang. They didn't even look at each other. People say that the lagoon was no longer green and clear, but became cloudy and troubled. For his part, the handsome man, upon achieving his purpose, lost interest and stopped visiting them. The three Pascualas waited day after day in vain until they finally looked at each other's faces and realized the deception of which they had been victims. Grief-stricken, they decided to gradually enter the lagoon, looking for their end. At that moment, the waters began to turn into a whirlpool, and a tremor shook the bottom. The waters overflowed, and when they returned to their course, the lagoon had changed its shape to a waning quarter moon. Since then, the locals say that from time to time, the spirits of the three Pascualas appear in the lagoon, looking for men to cajole to take them to the water and drown them, thus consummating their revenge for what happened to them. Another version of the legend explains that the handsome man was a stranger who came to the Pascual family's house asking for lodging, and they welcomed him. When he returned in the afternoon, he would stare at the Pascualas, who sung with their blonde braids in the air and the bundle of clothes on their heads, and he fell madly in love with them. Each of the girls secretly reciprocated his love, and not knowing which of them to choose as his wife, he made an appointment with the three of them on the shore of the lagoon on St. John's Eve. At 12 o'clock at night, the stranger came rowing in a boat, and when he saw the reflection of one of them in the water, he began to call out to her in desperation, "Pascuala! Pascuala!" Upon hearing her name, each of the three sisters felt that her beloved was calling them, and they entered the treacherous waters, but ended up in the depths, drowned. Since then, it is said that every St. John's Eve at 12, a boat appears on the waters, from which the anguished voice of the young man is heard calling the sisters. The story of the three Pascualas is one of the most tragic passion legends, which reminds us to what extent one can be a victim of desire and love.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, and if you want to see more Draw My Life videos, subscribe to our channel. See you in the next episode!